Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. Today is Friday, or at least I am dropping this on Friday. I'm filming it a day early for reasons I'll explain in another video. And because it's Friday, we're doing 5 on Friday. This was started by Suey over at Suey's Book Banners, where each Friday we give 5 book recommendations on a sort of theme. We do not coordinate our themes, so she'll have a different topic. I don't know what it is because this is Thursday and I can't see into the future. We also have very different styles. Hers are very well edited and thought out and scripted, and mine is I set a timer. Oh, I gotta restart it. I set a timer for 5 minutes and I keep going. And the reason I had to reset the timer is this is attempt number 3 to film this. Not because of anything I did, but it's because my husband is on an errand right now and keeps calling me. So I'm gonna try and hopefully make this through without him interrupting again. But I am gonna set my timer now for 5 minutes. Okay, so today's topic is, because it is November and this is time lots of people start talking about what they want to read with their book club in 2024. These are 5 books that I have read in book clubs that led to really good discussions. I do want to be clear, that doesn't mean everybody liked the book. It just means that the discussions were really good. Lots of times, in fact, most of the time, to have a really good discussion, you need people who like it and don't like it. So to start with, I am going to start with a book that everyone I know who's read it in a book club, and I've done this in 3 different book clubs, has loved it. And that is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. This is a very twisty, dark Brontean novel. It does some really unexpected things. It kind of calls on you to kind of go into your own emotions and think about it, which is why it makes such a great book club discussion. This is one of my very, very favorite books. I know the FOMO book club just did it and they all really loved it. So highly recommend, even if it's not for a book club. Book number 2. The Known World by Edward P. Jones. This came out late 90s, early 2000s, historical fiction. It did win the Pulitzer Prize. It's about freed African Americans right before the Civil War who enslaved other African Americans. And just in that premise, there's a lot to discuss. That's a very twisty premise, and there's lots of knots that you kind of have to untangle, and just about the motivations of the characters, what you think of them, and how that reflects back to your own life. This I've done in a couple different book clubs, and it's been a really great discussion every time. The other 3 books I do not have physical copies of, so the only editing I'm doing here is that I will put in the covers. The next book is Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee, and I recently did this with my marginalized book club, and this is one where we were definitely all over the map on it. There is a lot in this book. It covers a long period of time of Koreans under sort of the influence pre-post-World War II of Japan. They are living in Japan, if I remember correctly. And it goes all over the time period. There are some issues with the formatting of the book that people either loved or didn't love, and it brought up some discussions. It is a longer book, but it's definitely worth the read. And it is it will have good discussions, but don't expect everybody to like it. Book number 4 is another book I read with my marginalized authors book group. And I will say this is one that generally was not loved, but it had a great discussion, and that is True Biz by Sarah Novick. This book kind of, and I talked about this when I talked about this book before, you kind of look at it in 2 ways. There's one part, which is the story, which is what people didn't quite like as much, but then the other part is the experience of the deaf population. And that is fascinating. And there's so much to discuss, and there's some real ethical issues in it. In my book group, I have a lot of doctors, and they had some great insight into it and what they would have done. They're also parents. This conversation went on a long time. Finally, book number 5, and I'm running out of time, I can tell. Oh, I actually have more time. Okay, so this one, and I need a lot of time for it because this is a tough one, but this is the best book I have ever read in a book. This book gave me the best book club discussion I have ever read. That's what I want to say. And I went into the discussion hating the book. I came out of the discussion really appreciating and respecting the book. I can't say that I liked it. And that book is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Obviously, take care with this one. There is some really touchy issues with this. But the interesting is, we had this 3-hour discussion on this book, and it was about the book. It wasn't the book club thing where you talk a little bit, then drink wine and talk about everything else. This was about the book. 3 hours, and it went everywhere. People were bringing in their own experiences for certain things, and it was the richest discussion, and very little of it was about the pedophilia. And yes, there is pedophilia in this book. That's not a spoiler. You should know that, and definitely take care if that is something that you need to take care with. But the writing is fantastic. This is a book that will challenge you. It will challenge you. I will also say not an enjoyable reading experience, but a worthwhile reading experience. It is not a book. I mean, I would say if you're going to do this in your book club, I wouldn't do it in a book club that is kind of new. And my husband just texted me again. And so I might cut. No, I'm just going to ignore him. So highly recommend for a book club, for a solid, well-established, you're very comfortable with each other book club that really likes to get into the nitty-gritty. Lolita is great. 16 seconds. That's like the third week in a row I finished with 16 seconds. That's amazing. So thank you. I know this was kind of a mess. It was far less of a mess than my other attempts because my husband can't seem to do anything on his own without texting me a million times. So I am going to stop this now because I need to go answer his text. And thank you very much. Like, subscribe, feel free to join my my Discord. Information's down below. And oh my goodness. He just texted me again. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.